Good morning, everyone. This is a pre-recorded conversation with truly one of my most favorite people in the entire world. You know how sometimes you meet someone and you just think within, I don't know, 4.5 seconds of meeting them, wow, I hope we can be friends. That is who this is for me. And we'll talk a little bit about the epic adventures that we've had when I bring her on. But just know that she is in no size, shape, or form should this woman be in my life, much less be the kind of friend she's become. So I feel so lucky for that and the fact that we were able to find some time for her to talk with me. So please welcome to the screen with me, my dear, dear friend, Ellen McElroy. Hello, Ellen.
With an introduction like that, I feel like I'm going to be such a disappointment. Uh, and I couldn't agree more wholeheartedly about you with everything you said about me. So
Well, that's delightful.
I count myself lucky, and I'm just honored and flattered that I get to help be part of your birthday celebration.
Thanks, Ellen. So, Ellen and I met in Aspen, which should tell you something right then and there. I had no business being in Aspen, but I found myself there, and we met through a mutual connection. And that was 10 and a half years ago. And then
When
we
you were
sta-
just a babe, just
I was
barely.
just a babe. I was 39. Yes, just a babe. Um, and we stayed in touch. And then because Ellen lives in Washington, D.C., and I had some work stuff there that happened annually for my day job, I actually got to see you quite a bit, Ellen, which was a real present.
Agreed. For me too.
And you did that thing that I feel like maybe only Southerners who are of the best type do. You said basically, well, my house is your house. So anytime you want to be here, just come. And I decided not to be Midwestern and think, well, she doesn't really mean that. I decided to say, she offered, I'm saying yes.
As we all need to more
Yeah.
often say
It's
yes, right?
it's true. You're absolutely right.
Uh,
So I had this great opportunity, and Ellen knows this, but I think it's really important for people to understand that you play this really fun role in my life and this very cosmopolitan role in my life, and you've taken me on great adventures, but you also are an incredibly important reason for how and why I have done all this side work that I have done, because the last time I went to Ellen's house was in 2019. So I always went in March. And in 2019, Ellen's dad was dying. And so she wasn't there. And I was in her beautiful house all by myself, thinking about her being with her dad in Alabama. No, Florida. Were you in
Al,
Alabama or Florida?
right.
Okay. And so there was this sort of like, I had this understanding that time was passing in a very different way for Ellen. And I decided to use that time in her house as if I had gotten awarded a really glamorous writing retreat. And I just started writing. All the things I'd been thinking about, I started doing there. And that is the beginning of how I'm doing any of what I'm doing, Ellen. So I think about your dad, who I never met, a lot, because had he not been transitioning and you had not gone away, you and I would have done what we always did, which was like lay in your great, amazing bed and watch Mrs. Maisel. And we would have gone out to eat. We would have done all these fun things. And I would not have had that very solitary time to take the leap into something that I was clearly a little bit afraid to do. So your dad's super important in my own journey.
Well, and as you're transitioning to 50, what you have to do is continue to do that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much opens up with your experience and your knowledge, and so many people are in your life who can make your life so much better, and you have to grab those moments and those people and strive to make it better instead of saying, well, I'm 50, so I'm just going to coast from here on out.
Yes.
As you're talking about my dad, when my dad turned 50, he felt it was really important to change his life.
Okay.
And he lost his father at a young age. And so he thought to himself, well, I'm 50, so it could happen to me at any time. I need to go out and grab what I can. And so after he'd worked for the same company for 33 years, he changed his job. He moved into a completely different state, and he took on a whole new adventure, and his life, for the rest of, he died at 84. The remainder of his life was colored by that important decision that he made.
Mm.
And hopefully you'll do some of those same things with your life. And you'll say, how am I going to change gears, and what does it mean for me, and what can it hold for me?
That's really inspiring.
And it totally opened up his life and made him a different person. Now, my mom did the same thing at 50. She decided what she really wanted was to go out and get her PhD. It was something that had been in her earlier life plans and she hadn't got to, just like we all do. We
Mhm.
get busy with other stuff and we put those kind of goals aside. And so she went back. She took a couple of years off from work. She went back and wrote her thesis and did her coursework and got her PhD. And it changed her life as well, because it enabled her to do so many more things professionally than she'd been able to do previously. And so I just think you have to hold on to, life has so much to present for you.
Mm.
My great grandmother did her first art show, her first public art show at 83. And so never knows what might happen. And so you continue to throw open the windows and throw open the doors and see what life is holding for you and go out there and do it.
I love that.
So
I
happy.
feel like this one wins for most like aspirational. I feel like we're watching a football moment sort of from your great favorite football team, Ellen.
I know, and how ironic it would be if we were watching.
You would have to explain so much to me. It wouldn't even be fun for you.
Well, I think that you're so lucky to be where you are. And you're so lucky to be who you are, because your eyes are already open. You've already got your head up looking around for what the choices are.
Hmm.
And what you have to do is just keep saying yes. And,
Yes.
because your life is so much richer when you open and accept everything that comes in front of you. And, sometimes we say yes, and then we kind of wish we hadn't.
Hmm.
Experience holds so much if you're just courageous enough to go out there and take advantage of it.
I love it. So I have to tell people, in case they don't know, that the reason that Ellen is such a great adventurer in my life is because two of the most singular experiences of my life happened with Ellen. In 2018, she wrote to me, I would say like the middle of April, and said, we should do this. And it was Mary Berry, from then the great British baking show, was hosting afternoon tea on a 1930s restored British Belmont train from London to the Gardens of Kent and back. And the trip was in like 3 or 4 weeks. And Ellen has this great big demanding life, and I have a pretty big demanding life. And this was pre-COVID, so life was demanding. And we both made it work. I remember exactly where Maz and I were when I said to him, do you think I can really do this? And he said to me, you can absolutely do this. And so what do you know? We went to London for a week. We had tea with Mary Berry, which was extraordinary. It was an incredible trip. And then in September
Hey,
of this year,
Dana, before you go on,
yeah,
what, right? And we
say that
both,
one more time.
what a lark. We
Oh,
both, yes, let's go try it. Let's go do it. Even though it's 3 weeks from now, let's go.
yeah.
And one of the best travel trips of my life, right? Being in London, unbelievable. And meeting Mary Berry, I hate to be a stargazer, but it was fantastic.
It really was. It really was.
And both just as easily have said, we're too busy, we don't have enough time, all those things that you do in your life. And
Yeah.
yet, how lucky we were. It was great.
I know. It's really, really true. It's a perfect example of just say yes. Just say yes. But then this past September, earlier in the summer, Ellen wrote and said, hey, I have to go back to England for a trip for work. You want to tack on a week? And again, I was able to say yes. And this trip was so interesting. This one was, I guess the theme of our lives, Ellen, is food, because this one was also centered around food. We made our way up to Edinburgh because Ellen had read about a Michelin starred restaurant that she really wanted to go to. So we literally planned the entire trip around the night we could get into that restaurant. And I will just say, it did not disappoint.
Not one bit. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it
Yes.
was such an adventure, even if it had been terrible, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
had a super fun time because Edinburgh was such a delight and such
Yeah.
an unexpected delight, especially the week the Queen was there.
Yes. So the Queen died the day I left for England. We made our way through the Lake District up to Edinburgh. We were there while she was there. And then the day we took the train back down to London, she was also going back to London. So it was a really like once in a multiple lifetimes opportunity to do that. But the important piece is just Ellen didn't really need any more friends when we connected 10 and a half years ago. I didn't really need any more friends. It was a really fun afternoon we spent together. We could easily have just gone our separate ways and said, well, that was fun. But we sort of intentionally stayed together. And then life threw me into your path over and over on this annual trip. And then suddenly now we have this real friendship. You can't travel with everybody. You can't stay in a hotel room with everybody, but we do.
Exactly. That's because at the core, we have a real friendship connection.
Yes.
As adults, especially those of us who are over 50, it's hard to make those connections, but they're so critically important, right?
Yeah, they really, really are.
That socialization is such a critical element of aging successfully. And we're both so far away from aging, but
That's true.
it's an important attribute that we've both figured out how to navigate through.
Yes. Yes. And figured it out together in some instances, because that's been a really fun part of our friendship too, is just the stuff that we have experienced for the first time together. I love that.
Wholeheartedly. And I'm so happy to be marking your 50th birthday. And I just look forward to marking other significant birthdays with you.
I look forward to that as well. I think there is no doubt that there are more trips in our future. In fact, one of my favorite things is Ellen texted me shortly after she got back, because she was in London longer than I was, and said, hey, I'm thinking Corfu next. Are you in? And I feel like, yeah, I don't exactly know where Corfu is, but I'm probably in. Why would I not be in?
What the heck? And so walk through the fun things that you have planned for your 50th birthday.
Okay.
So there's a trip in the wings, and I know there are other special things that you're focused on.
Yeah. So Maz and I leave 2 weeks from yesterday when this video airs. 2 weeks from yesterday, we're in England with his mother and sister and her family for a week. And then my mom and her partner will have flown to France while we're in England, and they will meet my brother and sister-in-law there, because my sister-in-law is from outside of Paris. And my brother and my mom and her partner will take the channel back on the 24th, and we'll pick them up and spend Christmas Eve through the 27th in Windsor, where Maz's family lives. Quinn and his girlfriend will fly in on the 26th. We'll pick them up. We'll do all the things in Windsor that I so love to do, the long walk, and we'll go to St. George's Chapel and all those kinds of things.
And it'll be a lovely time to be in London.
It's a beautiful time to be in England. I was last in England for Christmas and my birthday in 2018. So I'm very much looking forward to going back. So then we send my brother back to France, and the six of us will go north to Yorkshire for 5 days, where we will actually celebrate my 50th birthday at my favorite tea shop. So I have been planning this trip for 4 years. I kept saying to COVID, you better be over by 2022. That felt a little trivial, but I'm really grateful that we're in a place where we can go. And I'm so grateful to be taking family with me.
Of course, so that everybody can be part of the celebration.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Christmas, so it'll be a lovely time to be there.
It really will. What are you doing for Christmas?
I'll be in the Ham. I'll be in Alabama.
Excellent. And is there some sort of Christmas football game that matters? Does that happen there?
I'm sure there is. We mostly just have family plans, but
Okay.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of when those bowl games happen, right?
That's right. There'll be plenty to do and plenty to catch up on, and we probably won't be having Yorkshire pudding, but I'm sure there'll be great food. You know, it'll be a lovely time for all.
Well, let me just say, if the food goes short, I say make the squash and hazelnut lasagna because that was a real highlight to the last trip when I was with you in DC. So, Ellen, it's so amazing. You answered actually all my questions without me having to ask any of them. I loved it so much. Here's my last question for you, though, just because I want you to get the opportunity to think about this and share your thoughts with us. Above and beyond, developing new friendships and saying yes, what have been some of the other most joyful aspects of your life since turning 50?
Um, Joyful. Well, I think because I focused on friendships and family, and because I've said yes, that's what's led me to joyful experiences.
Mm,
And I think after 50, because you become so much more comfortable with yourself, and so you know yourself so much better, you know, my life is so much more joyful because I don't worry about what others think about me or say about me because I know that that's not really important because
mm,
I have a much greater appreciation of what really is important to me. And I think that's probably the greatest joy that I've had since 50 is of letting go of the things that occupied a lot of my time in my 20s, 30s, and 40s that were so much less important.
mm.
Because
Fantastic.
life is going to go on and it's going to be how it's going to be. And you can waste a lot of time thinking about, man, I think that person is upset that I did this. When they might be, but more often than not they're not, and so you
Right.
wasted a ton of time worried about that and
Yeah.
focusing on here's what's important for me and I'm going to go after what's important for me and figure out how to make my life better. And
Mm,
so you asked me what's been joyful. Well, my whole life is so much more joyful as I've moved through the years. So post 50, better than 40, better than 30, better than 20. So I'm hopeful it's going to continue. I'm going to continue on that path.
I love it. It's perfect. Thank you for a delightful and joyful conversation, Ellen. It's one of my favorite things about you. Even when you are cutting somebody down, you say it with that super happy, joyful Southern charm. And I love that about you.
Okay, so I don't love that about me, but people down, but I try hard to maintain my heritage. So
Oh, you're the best.
this, I hope it's everything you hope it'll be.
Thanks, Ellen. Thank you for joining me and sharing really, really inspiring thoughts around turning 50. You've got me feeling like, all right, let's just do this.
Make it happen, sis.
I'll talk to you soon, Ellen. Everybody else, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.